So far, we have completed the implementation of sign-up form using Reactive Form. If we look into the component class, the data for the form fields were initialized based on the first parameter of the form control constructor. We have not used model class to initialize the form field values. In one of the earlier video, I had explained about having model class as an important design consideration. In this video, I will demonstrate initialization of form field values based on a model class object. Necessary coding for this is already completed, which I will walk through now. The model class for the sign-up page is user class, which we have already defined when working on template-driven form, which we are going to reuse. I have copied and pasted user.ts from the template-driven form implementation, so now we have access to the user class definition. In my reactive form implementation, I don't have email and password fields, hence I have commented those properties. In app.component.ts, the user property is defined and created in this line. Again, here email and password parameters are not included. The transfer of data from user object to form group is done in the ng-onInit function. The setValue function in form group object is used for this data transfer. Notice user object is passed as input for the setValue function from which the data gets transferred. I will explain about the next line later in this video. If we look into the page, we can see name, gender and promotions fields are pre-populated. The status drop-down list has select status as the selected option. We can notice that the form field values matches with the user object defined in this line except status drop-down list. I have included some sample data in the user object to verify if form field values are getting populated based on this user object or not. Now that we know the data transfer is working, I am going to clear the user data as the form fields should be empty for a sign-up form. First, I am clearing the name. For the status, I am making ID as 0 and name as empty string. Then clearing gender and making promotions as false. I am saving the file. After the page reload, we can see the form field values in the page are cleared. Let me explain how the status drop-down list got select status as the selected option. The inclusion of this line in ng-onInit function is what helped in selecting the select status option. If I comment this line, save the file, and if we check after the page reload, we can see that the status drop-down list is blank. The reason is that the setValue function gets the status object from user property and applies it to the status element for selection. As there is no matching status, it results in blank selection. To override this selection, this line is included. I am uncommenting this line and I am saving the file. In this line, we are getting the form control object of status and setting its value as empty string. Here, this .status refers to the status function which returns the form control object of status. As this .status may return null, we have included the optional chaining operator with question mark. In the form control object, we are calling setValue function which helps to modify the value of the form control. we are setting the value as an empty string. The empty string matches with the select status option value in the HTML template, which is also an empty string. Hence, the select status option gets selected in the status dropdown. The key takeaway from this video is that the setValue function in form group helps to assign values to the form control objects within the form group. The other key takeaway is that setValue function in form control class helps to modify the value of the form field. The implementation done so far helps to initialize the form field values of Reactive Form based on a model class. Let me summarize the changes to be done. Copy user.ts from template-driven form workspace and paste it in src/app folder of the Reactive Form workspace. Comment email and password properties if you don't have these fields in your Reactive Form. In app.component.ts, imports needs to be included for onInit and user. The component class should implement onInit. User property should be defined and initialized here. If you have email and password fields, then you need to include those parameters in the constructor. Here, instead of empty string, you can provide some sample data to verify if it is populated. The ng-onInit function should be defined to initialize the form field values. Save and check if the form fields are populated based on the data in user object. After verification, clear the data in user object.